doesn't go to the mechanic a lot, and so his car breaks down on the highway in this little town in the middle of nowhere.
Oof.
So he goes over to a gas station, which is the only thing he can see around the town. He can only see this. Want me to make a scary face?
I'm videotaping it. No, I'm recording it. This is gonna go on the blog.
Face, but it's really scary.
So he goes to this gas station and he says, "Is there any place around here? Is there a hotel? Any place that I could stay? My car needs to be fixed, and it's gonna take more than a day, and I need to sleep." And the guy at the gas station says, "There's not a hotel in town. There's not anything nearby, but there is this house up the way." But the thing is that this house, has said to be haunted. And he's like, "I don't believe in that stuff, like, stupid." And so he goes, he's not outside. But, anyway, he goes to this house, and he is exploring the house. It's not that dark yet, and it's not really time for him to go to bed. And so, there's a car coming down the driveway, you can guess, I don't know if it's on. But he goes in and he notices that the entire wall is covered in, like, original portraits of people who probably lived in the house. And he sees that the family was obviously fairly large, and it consisted of a mom and a dad and a bunch of sons and then one daughter. And then he also sees that they were probably really close to their health because they had portraits painted of the butlers and of the chefs and of the drivers of their carriages, and they're all like littering the walls of the house. They're covering from head to toe the floor. So he finds this really big bed that was obviously the mom and the dad, and he goes to sleep, and he wakes up in the middle of the night. He hears this creaking sound, and so he ignores it for a little bit. He's like, "This is a really old house, like, I'm sure it's just the wind." But he keeps hearing it, and he's finally like, "I need to figure out what this is. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep." So he goes, and he finds it. He looks around all the doors, and it's not coming from anywhere, and then he finally figures out that it's coming from the room on the left at the end of the hall, which when he gets to the door, it's obviously the little girl's room. It has girly things, collar covering the door, little pictures that she's obviously drawn way, way back in the day. It's a very old house. And he opens the door, and in the corner of the room there's a rocking chair. And in the rocking chair is a girl. And he goes up to the rocking chair and he gets in front of it, and he sees that the girl is obviously a ghost, and she's dead. She's been slit. Her throat has been slit all the way across. And he comes up to her and he's like, "Oh my God, like, were you murdered? Like, are you the little girl who lives in this house?" And he's like, "Were you murdered?" And she goes, and he starts freaking out, and he runs away and goes back to his bed and hides under the covers for the rest of the night. He goes down, the next morning he goes down to the gas station, and he's like, "Dude, this house really is haunted, like, I need my car fixed, I need to get out of here." And he's like, "I'm sorry, like, the parts are going to take a while to come in, your car's really messed up, and it's going to be at least another night." And he says, "Okay, I guess I can stay in this house, I guess I can manage it, but I'm just not going to mess with that girl." And he goes up to the house, and, looks around, looking at the butler and everything. He finally says, "This ghost probably just has a bone to pick. Probably no one knows who killed her, and they never got caught, never got taken to justice." And so he says, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring this person to justice. I'm going to figure out who killed this girl." So, at night, he goes into his bed and he goes to sleep, and then he hears the creaking sound, and he hesitates a little bit. He's not sure that he wants to go and see the girl again, but he finally decides, "You know what, I need to do this. I need to do this for this little girl." And so he goes to the end of the hall. He opens the door and he sees her in the rocking chair just like she was before, with her throat slit all the way across. And she goes up to her and he says, "Were you murdered by someone in your family?" And she goes, "Or were you murdered by someone who lived in this house with you, one of the help, or one of your family?" And she goes, and he goes, was it your father?" And she goes, he goes, "Was it your mother?" And she goes, "Was it one of your brothers? Was it the driver? Was it the butler?" Was it the cook? Yeah! And that's the end of it.
Wow.
It's not a scary story. It's a surprise scary story.
That's pretty good.